Yeah. Okay. Um, I mean, I know what you mean, especially because it's like it has decent setup, but like the way they do it, it's like, well, that wasn't bad, but there's like nothing great about it, right? Uh, I don't. Oh my god. Yeah, one moment. Properties. Sorry. We might have to restart because freaking OBS was not recording audio properly, I'm guessing. But anyway, yeah, welcome everyone to Toku Portal Podcast. It's me, Zero, here with.
Right.
Okay, now the
I'm here
audio.
tonight.
Yep. But anyway, as you were saying about the show, you feel like you should be more invested.
Right. I want to like this show more than I do. There's a lot of really cool concepts and themes going on. So first off, the main theme for the heroes are like swordsmen, they're like knights and such. And they got this whole fantasy storybook thing going on. So it's like, yeah, tales of knights slaying dragons and whatnot. That's really cool. And like all the forms are great, all the power-ups are cool. I like that each sword behaves differently. Then you get to the story though, and they have a lot of really cool elements to it. They got this mystery element to it, they got plenty of drama, they got plenty of action to back it up. What's the payoff?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Where it's like it's got good elements, but at their very best, it's competent at best. Right? There's like nothing to like hook you and like propel you more. Like it's not bad, especially. Fuck it, I'm just gonna call it season two, right? Like Saber season two over here is definitely a lot more solid than season one. But
We
like
actually
even
get explanations.
yeah, yeah, it's true, and it's like interesting shit happens, but it's like I I think the problem is again the characters, where it's like yeah they're okay, but there's like nothing there beyond okay.
26 episodes.
Oh yeah.
26 episodes, and I finally know who the villains are. Not like, oh, this person's a villain, but like, who is this person? Why? What is their story? Again, like, at least with the time jackers, it's like, okay, these guys are messing with time because they want to create a different future. There you go. I understand there's who they are now. But the villains here, the Megiddo, why are they doing any of this? What are they after? What is the power that they seek? Oh, now I finally get it because someone fucking said it.
Yeah,
They were part of the original founders of Wonderworld, and they want the secret power that it holds. Did I have to wait this long to get that reveal?
I mean, technically, they said they wanted that in a lot earlier, but again, like it never felt like that was their end goal. It's like, well, that's
It,
just what the heroes think, right?
and I didn't understand their connection to it. Like, why do they want this? What's going on here? Now I have that established connection. They were one of the founding members.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's weird because like, who else would have been able to tell you that besides like Yuri? But I'm like, why is that like a thing that like? I mean, Tassel was fucking there. He could have said it.
Yeah, I would have been fine if Tassel only said it to the audience, so that the audience knows what's going on. Like he's reading a storybook. You know, the main
Yeah.
gimmick of this show.
The main gimmick. Well, the gimmick keeps like the gimmick kind of fell apart because like now he's in the show, so like well I guess not anymore depending on what the hell happened this episode.
Yeah,
Um,
did he die? Did he get absorbed? What the fuck?
he
I
might have
feel like if
gotten
he,
trapped or
I
something.
feel like he got trapped. Like if they wouldn't have just killed him off immediately, like without some dramatic build up.
I mean, he didn't even do his reading intro this episode, right?
No, he didn't.
Yeah, I think this is like the first time he's not done that. So it's like, oh, I guess this show is trying to be like, shit's gotten serious now. The real stuff's going down. But again, like, I don't care. Like, it's not bad. Like, the way they did it. But again, yeah, you're right. It's like,
Yeah,
there's no connection to the character, especially the villains. They're just, like, they're just there for the plot, right?
they're literally there to have a monster of the week, but now that the main antagonist is Master Logos, why do we need the Megiddo?
I mean, they're probably gonna have some thing to do, but again, you're right. They're mostly there just because we need monsters to fight. And then the thing is, like, they're probably only around because they're gonna be important for movie shit or whatever, right? Whereas, like, I feel like what happens this episode is like you get all the flashbacks. I'm like, is that the flashback to the movie? Like, is this like Godspeed Love Time, where it's like, oh, everything went to hell. Here's the movie about it, and it's like, oh yeah, the movie's technically part of canon, but it's an alternate universe.
Shoot. Sorry, you were saying?
Yeah, so I'm like, again, is like the movie like a Godspeed Love thing, where it's like it's sort of part of canon, but it's like alternate universe, so it's like you don't really have to watch it, but we can pull some clips here and there to like set up character shit. It's like, is that what the fuck was going on? Because I feel like that shot is maybe from the movie or something, right? Like all the stuff from like Kento's flashing to, because I'm like, okay, one, that's a little interesting that they shot that, but I'm like, that seems like so much fucking work for one episode, right? Like they have to be pulling it from the movie or something.
Probably.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say?
I don't know. I mean, you haven't been here for a while, so you can like say everything you want about this show.
Oh, right. So the Megiddo, the Megiddo worked to give us the monster of the week. And while I've been craving a Rider versus Monster show for the past 3 years, now that we have like the whole plotline about the hero organization actually being the corrupt villains, it is far more interesting.
Yeah. So like I feel like, you know, when they're like, "Oh, be careful what you wish for." Right? And it's like, "Oh no, you might get something secretly
No.
bad." Yeah, the problem here became, it's like, "Oh no, be careful, you might get something fucking mediocre." Right? And like that's the
Oh,
and
I
that's,
was about to argue your point until you said that.
yeah, because I'm like, that's the worst part, right?
But
Like if it was
you
bad, at least we would have shit to talk about.
right, but
But
it's
like
mediocre.
that's like the problem with the show. It's like, oh no, let's. I'm like, hey, you know what would be different? A Sentai Team style rider show. Guess what? We have a Sentai Team style rider show, but it's like way less interesting than Hibiki. I mean, it's sort of interesting now because like, oh, you have like the organization might be evil and stuff. I'm like, well, that's a little different. Um, I mean, that's pretty standard rider, because that's the whole thing of writers, like they don't work for organizations because that's what happens. um right, but yeah, it's one of those weird things where it's like it took like everything we sort of wanted in a show but did it so like half-assed, right? It's like, oh, I don't want like writer versus writer only, and it's like, well, it's not only writer versus writer, and it's like, I don't want them like to be separate. It'd be nice if they had a team. It's like, yeah, they have that. And it's like, and then yeah, no, just writer versus monster, they have that, and it's like, it's so fucking just by the numbers, and it's like, it's, again, the worst part is it's not bad, it's just like this is the bare minimum. So it's like, what the hell do you even say about this?
So here's the problem with the execution. The show started and it established the monsters and had the heroes fight them. And then episode like 3 or 4 or something like that early on, it decided, here, we're going to throw a twist at you. This monster is actually split into multiple monsters. You have to defeat all of them. It's like, okay, that's a unique twist. This monster really stands out now. And then they repeated that gimmick for every monster going forward, making them feel more and more generic each time, to the point where the rioters were basically fighting grunts and not a monster of the week. And then you power through that entire arc, uh, and you get to the point where the Megiddo are like, all right, we're going to start making monsters out of humans now. It's like, okay, here we go. The stakes are raised. This is something new. Now the monsters feel relevant. And they did that for like 3 episodes.
And it was the same monster. Outside of that first one, it's been the same monster since then.
Okay.
And now we don't even get that.
Yeah,
Now
I
we're not
mean, you
even
guys
getting
can.
that.
No, it's fine. You guys can keep talking. I'm just gonna adjust the display here, but like, yeah, do your bit, Vashi.
Saber sucks.
God damn it! It's not that terrible, but
the decisions they've made while they've worked in other shows individually,
Oh,
they don't work together.
it's really funny because before you got here, we were saying like, the show's not bad. It's just not interesting. It's kind of mediocre, and then you just walk in like, nah, it sucks.
Like I said, like the ideas that they put into it are really good ideas. It's just in their own show. Like everything aside from the whole, fairy tale book crap, this is everything we've seen before. We have a show that seems like it's starting in the middle of it, Blade. That seems to get better once we, get out of the first arc. Oh, Blade.
Except Blade actually did get better.
Right.
yeah.
Then you have the fact of, the FISA issue of 90% of the problems would be solved if they just fucking talked to each other.
No. I'm going to fight you on that one. They've been talking to each other this whole damn time, and they still fight.
Right? Like, this is the opposite of Fi's problem. It's like they talk too much and nothing happens.
Well-
Okay, to be fair, Rentaro kind of makes sense why it's like, because he says like you don't betray family. So the thing with him is like he's too far gone. Like for him to betray the organization is like basically like betraying his family, and the only family he's ever known. So like for him it makes sense, but like for everybody else, I'm like, yeah, this went on longer than it needed to. Especially, I mean, I could buy it if what the hell's her name? One moment.
The girl?
Yeah,
May?
no,
May?
Shindai Reika.
Sabella.
Yeah, Sabella.
Sabella, yeah. Sabella, if she was like believable as like a decent person. But,
Yeah, no,
but like
she's not even
she's
hiding
so
up.
one note. I mean, like, yeah,
She's not even hiding the fact that she's manipulating all of them.
right. Like she's basically what, like, okay, it would be also interesting if they kind of played like the Blades and Sabella thing, where it's like, oh, Blades, this is what the fuck you would become if you don't get the hell out of here. Right? But like it's so on the nose. And like
So
I don't blame Sabella because like she's like I'm just following orders. Right?
View it like this. In this scenario, Sabella is basically playing the role of Rencharo's mother.
Yeah, I guess sort of.
So to go up to him and say, there's a your traitor in your family, he looks to his mother and goes, no, she loves us though. She wouldn't betray us.
I mean, sort of. I mean, the problem with that is like she's not that familiar. Like I would see like.
No,
s-
no,
so-
not in an actual
no.
maternal
I know.
sense.
I mean, like
just like
I feel like what's her name? Sophia. No.
just in an authoritative stance.
Yeah, Sophia. I feel like Sophia would be more like, but yeah, you're right. This is like another member of the family, right? Like extended family is like, hey, do this for the
I forgot about
family.
Sophia. I literally forgot about her.
I mean, the
I
show almost did
forgot-
until they remembered last episode, and it's because like, oh yeah, Sabella's real evil. She's captured
She's
Sophia. She's
also a terrible interrogator.
Well, I mean, at this point, she's held her for weeks, so she's fed up with her crap. It's like, tell me where it is. No, here, freaking backhand, and now I'm out. Right? So
Yeah,
like,
that's all she's got.
well, the thing is, like, yeah, pretty much. At this point, I feel like she doesn't have any hopes for Sophia. She's like, you're a traitor. The only reason you're alive is because, you know, the Master of Logos hasn't told me to kill you, pretty much, right?
I have a question
Yes.
concerning the current plot. And everybody's, you know, well, certain people's inability to, you know, not question, you know, evilness.
Oh, you
When
mean this
has
whole
there-
show?
Okay, we're still talking about Sabella. Okay.
When has any writer, when has the power of light ever been evil?
Well, to be fair, it's like Sabella is
be
just
fair-
following orders.
No,
Right.
she's not.
No,
She's literally disregarding orders.
Oh,
well,
okay.
it's a little of both.
Okay.
Like, Sabella is clearly acting on what she believes is in Master Logos's best interest. So she will follow his orders if she believes that's what's best for him. But in certain cases, such as let Saber keep Primitive Dragon, she goes, no, that's not in our best interest, and disregards the order and gives her own command of, no, we need to steal that back.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense where it's like, again, like she's kind of the like true believer, most loyal soldier shit going on. So like, I don't feel like she's planning to backstab Master Logos, but like, yeah, again, she's like, no, I think this is a better decision for everyone.
She has drank way too much Kool-Aid.
And she
Sort of.
keeps
I mean, like,
feeding
she's
it
not
Ritaro.
as one note, but yeah, you're right. She's basically like, if Master Logos is gonna go down, she's gonna die defending that idiot. Right? Which again, I'm like, man, you had like one female writer in the show and you had to make her evil. Like, is this a thing? Like, what the fuck is this, Gaim now? Right? Like, come on. And I'd be fine if we had like another one or any hope of having another one. I mean, there is one more sword in the movie or whatever, so I'm like, well, maybe.
Oh, okay.
But I doubt it.
In the clips we see, there are 11 swords, and the movie sword is already counted amongst them to make 10, which means there's an 11th one we haven't seen yet. So,
I mean, it's probably
most
Master
likely
Logos,
will be-
but
Master Logos is my guess.
yeah. It's kind of sad because I'm like, fucking hell, man. You have like, goddamn Sentai names. The dinosaur one with like 12 people or whatever. I mean, like, that had at least.
Kyoryuger.
Yes, Kyoryuger. That had at least 2 female members, right?
Actually,
Uh,
it had 2 female members at the very end, but it only had 1 for majority of the series.
God damn, that's terrible. Fucking. Okay, let's go with
Key Ranger.
Key
that
Ranger.
had
Yeah, there we
a
go.
12-member series, 2 girls.
Yes, that's true. I mean, like,
And,
that's better than nothing, but
and only one was humanoid. The other one was a machine that daydreamed.
that okay, Raptor is great.
Oh,
So
I'm not arguing that.
yeah, that's fair.
Oh, wait,
I
no.
will defend Raptor.
Kyoryuger had 3 by the end. First half they only had 1, and then the second half they had 2, and then at the very end they had 3.
Yeah, because they had purple.
I literally forgot about Violet.
Yeah, purple, and then the character Jasmine Blade.
Cyan.
I couldn't remember which color she ended up.
Yeah.
Spoilers for a series that's like 10 years old.
10
at this
years
point.
old at this point. I mean,
If you haven't watched it, why?
I got other shit to do, alright? But
Okay, well, I have a recommendation to anybody who hasn't watched Kyoryuger.
okay.
Stop watching Saber and go watch that.
Okay.
Like, not even stop watching this Rider series and watch a better Rider series. No, stop watching Rider and go watch Sentai.
I was
Like,
gonna say, if we're gonna switch from sword thing to sword thing, shouldn't we go like shit? What's the angel one?
Oh, Go Saiger.
Go Saiger. right?
Nah, I stay more in theme and go Ryu Soldier.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's
Yeah,
fair.
yeah, that is truly fair.
Unless
On
you've
that
already
one.
seen it, in which case go watch it again.
Yeah, because
Ryu
still
Soldier
better than
seems
Saber.
interesting. Oh, dude, that show seems like way better. Okay, here's the worst part. This is a good episode, but even then, it's like, oh, it's just good. You know, right? It's
Right.
like, oh, fuck.
Like it.
Go ahead.
26 episodes in, we're just now getting shit that we should have gotten within the first 10 episodes.
Oh yeah, I already went on my tangent about the villains.
Right.
Nah, Vashi's turn, I guess. Go.
Well, I mean, like, not even so much on the villains, but just, I mean, more on the world building in of itself. We knew nothing about. I mean, this is literally 26 episodes in, and we're just now finding out about Wonderworld the proper way.
Right.
It was just a thing that existed up until now.
So storytelling, which is literally this show's gimmick, by the way. Storytelling.
And he can't do it right.
When you introduce a character that's new to a world, surrounded by people already familiar with that world, the proper way to introduce the audience to that world is to have them learn alongside that character. The problem is, our main character hasn't even been learning this shit, so how would we?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I feel like the problem here is like the writing episode in chunks, you know, like the cores. So basically season is like, oh look, this was the Caliber arc, which was the first one, right? And then now we're in like
The Sabella arc, I
the
would say.
Sabella arc. Yeah, let's go with that. And so yeah, they're pretty much like, oh, now we're gonna go into like Master of Logos, I guess.
But like we're even just now, like the Megiddo have been an issue for the last 26 episodes. We're just now finding out anything about them beyond the fact of they make bad guys.
I know, like, okay, to be fair, the problem with the show is it has too many characters. So like, I'm like, well, it's sort of like the Time Jackers, but it's not true because like we get little moments with the Time Jackers. It's because Zio didn't have so many fucking characters that we couldn't throw moments. Whereas in this show, we have so many characters that we don't have time to cut to the villains unless it's like absolutely necessary.
They literally had to have side episodes online to get character development.
Oh, dude. Like
Drago watched those proper order and said they fixed the first arc.
Yeah, see, that's the problem. Like, this show has got that problem of, like, there's too much shit going on.
There is. Vashi earlier said, let's talk about the current plot. And my immediate thought was, which one? You've got Sabella, you've got New Caliber, you've got whatever the fuck the Megiddo think they're doing, and you've got Primitive Dragon.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And to include whatever the hell's going on with Victor. I mean, Tassel.
Yeah, and so now there's that plot that just got added with Master Logos.
I mean, at least like Sabella's stuff seems like it's gonna come to an end, and then Victor's probably locked up, but that still leaves like 3 plots. But I feel like Savage Dragon is just gonna be a power-up story.
Yeah, we're getting the power-up next episode.
Also, like, this show is just Bleach now. It's just Bleach.
I had that exact thought when I was catching up yesterday. I was literally like, with all the swords now, I'm basically watching Bleach.
Yeah, it's not even the sword, it's the fucking Zanpakuto thing with the swords where it's like, okay, you have a rider, the rider has his gimmick, and then you have the sword has their own gimmick. Right?
Each sword has its own power, separate from the books.
Right, exactly. And then, so you have like a rider theme, and then like you know, Toma, his rider, like, it's dragon themed, right? And then his sword has like flame powers and the ability to split people potentially, right? And then you have like sorry, go ahead.
Let's also not forget the fact that, you know, the swords are sentient.
Yeah, that's true.
In the aspect that they choose their wielder.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then
they're literally Zanpakuto.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Zanpakuto is a personification of your soul, so like it can't
Okay,
go to a
so
different person. But
no,
I get
but
what you mean. I
I
get
mean,
what.
for that specifically for Bleach, it's literally just the Zanpakuto.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, especially with this like Savage Dragon thing, where it's like, oh, okay, you're just gonna become friends with your Zanpakuto, and you're gonna get stronger, just like Ichigo. Like, oh fuck.
The Bankai arc.
Yeah. Oh, was yeah. I guess that's true. I was like, wait, was that before? Because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna never. I hate it when it rains, but I'm like, oh yeah, that is the fucking Bankai thing.
Yeah, it is.
But and then the worst part is this is literally the fucking problem with Bleach too. Where it's like too many fucking characters, everybody has weirdo powers, people just keep showing up, right? There's like a million plot lines, like nothing means anything until like, oh, that plot line just ended, I guess.
So I got to get some water, and while I did, I realized this is what I didn't like about the final arc of Xaid.
Really? Okay. Continue on this.
Like all you had a bunch of different subplots that were like introduced and then either put on hold or rushed out the door to bring in the ones that were on hold, and then those were rushed out the door to move on to the next one. And all these characters had
Oh
their
yeah.
own goals going on, and it was just one giant mess.
See, I was gonna compare like this show to X8, but I'm like, I was thinking like early X8 because I'm like, character wise, you feel so much more connected with the X8 writers early on. But I'm like, yeah, by the end, like, there's like a million dumbass subplots, right? Which is like the opposite of Evolt, which is like this is one subplot, right? But like X8, you're right. It's just like more shit just keeps getting dumped onto it over and over. That's why it's kind of and which is why like 01 I think kind of did such an amazing job because it kind of had that, but it had it for the second last arc. The last arc was like, okay, there's this evil motherfucker, evil AI thing, and we just have to figure out some way how to beat it. You know, like literally everybody has to fucking figure out some way how to stop this thing or it'll kill us all. So like at least it realized to like tone it down. But I'm like, is that what we're feeling now? Like the like mid writer problem? Where it's like they're just dumping a million plot lines? Because like I guess middle writer does tend to get messy. But I guess it's also one of those things where it's like, okay, yeah, everything is going on right now, but you should also be like, oh, I want to know what the fuck happens next episode. Right?
Here's
And like, do you feel that? I feel that like very little, depending on the episode, but like generally no. But go ahead, Vash.
depending on the show, I feel that's very much the case. Like 01, the issues it had with its middle was more the pacing than anything.
Right.
I feel because at least with what they were setting up during that arc, played through all the way to the finale.
Like I have some issues with the repetitive storytelling during that section, but the pacing is really what killed it for me.
Right. Like, but like at least in terms of like what the groundwork they were laying plot wise, it stayed relevant. Whereas this, none of this, and it seemed to matter. Is like here, none of this seems to matter. I feel we're at the, as we like to lovingly refer to it, the we're just gonna cheat our ass off through power ups. The XA problem.
Like, so Kento is revealed to be the new Caliber, and we find out that he's been coming back. He found a way to come back to life as Caliber. He found a way to fight alongside his friends again, only to see the world end. And when it does, he dies again, going back to the dark world inside the Blade of Darkness, where he was able to like go back, try again, do something different. But no matter what he did, the world would still end. That is a really interesting plot line. But the fact that it's being introduced now when we're still trying to resolve all these other plot points Makes me feel like the plot is being rushed for the sake of brevity.
Also, on a side note, I have a question on that.
Yeah.
So, obviously, Daddy Writer knew this was a thing.
So he said
They knew
Kento
they
Kento must
they
have come back, implying that he didn't think that was possible, and
well, no,
his
because they literally it literally gets explained to him that to Kento that anybody who's slain by that blade gets trapped in that world, and it's a way they have a way back. It literally gets spelled out for him in this episode. I forget,
um,
and I believe it was Daddy Writer who explained that.
my
Either
take
him,
Yeah, I think it was Buster who said it.
my takeaway was that like yes, they get trapped in that world, but that doesn't mean they can come back.
Yeah, I think it's like maybe it traps the next person who's gonna use the blade there. Where it's like, oh, like the current host is dead, you're gonna become the next host. You get to
Like
live there
like
for.
he got trapped in the world of darkness. He probably found a way to return.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, maybe the movie explains it, but he was like infected with like the dark energy thing before
Right.
he died.
So TV Neon's translation here. I have the clip up. Those cut down by the dark blade fall into the world of darkness when they die. He has probably returned from the world of darkness. So literally saying he came back from the dead.
okay, I can.
Yeah, they don't know, but like that's what
I'm not
they
surprised
assume.
he did it, but I didn't expect that to happen.
Yeah,
Okay, I can that does change a little bit of my take on that.
see, I thought like at first when he came back and he's like all different and stuff, I'm like, oh shit, Master of Logos brought him back and saved him, and now he's gonna be like Sabella's assistant or whatever the fuck. But no, it's totally different, which is interesting. Because like this plot came out of fucking nowhere. And it's actually pretty interesting. Kind of. I mean, I guess it's like it's one of those things where it's like, oh, things are changing, right? Like everything with Saber is like, hey, I was a kid, this thing happened, maybe it wasn't real, and then you find out, oh yeah, it was real. I'm gonna become a hero like this guy who saved me, and then that guy shows up and he's not a hero anymore. Then you fight him and you find out, oh, maybe something else is going on. Then you go like, well, at least I joined a good organization. It's like turns out organization's not super great, so now you gotta fight the organization. And now they're like, oh great, well, I guess I can only rely on my belt and myself now. And then your friend from the dead comes back. He's like, hey, guess what? That blade's evil, man. You gotta throw that away too. It's like, god damn it, can I get like 5 minutes without this shit? Right? So it's like this really interesting episode where it's like, not episode, like series where it's like the main writer keeps constantly having everything they do like challenged. Where it's like, but it doesn't feel like that. Right?
So,
Like that's very much what it is, but it just feels like everything's still just handed to him.
right?
Sort of. I mean, like he's struggling, but you're right. Like the way they show it isn't as dramatic as like it should be.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
everything is handed to Toma, but I feel like that's kind of the point because I try to view this as the way it's presented, which is like a fairy tale storybook kind of
Right,
thing,
that's what I was
where
thinking too.
like heroes slaying monsters and all that stuff. So like Toma is that like fairy tale hero of like, oh, he's the amazing hero that showed up out of nowhere with all this impressive strength and wrecked the fucking dragon or whatever.
Yeah, I do understand that's probably what they're going for, but again, it makes the show a little bit less interesting.
I feel like there's a lot more problems than that.
Oh yeah, that's
That
true.
is low on my list of concerns.
Yeah, I mean, like
When you have like the super emotional moments that this episode went for, and us as viewers feel nothing,
I felt nothing.
like it literally
Yeah.
as soon as he hit the sprinkler, because God forbid they
Oh,
set up
okay.
the rain. God forbid they set up the rain machine.
Well, okay, so the funniest thing with the rain machine, right? Like I was watching basically like behind the scenes of like a different movie thing. Basically it's like how to make kung fu movies, and they're showing how they do the rain shots. That's so good. Where it's like they get the actors and then they basically like spritz them with a little bit of water so they look damp. And then they move them away from the camera, right? In front of the camera, they basically set up a shower head. So like the rain is coming from the shower head in front of the camera, but like where the actors are, it's totally dry as fuck. So at least they had the sprinklers go off, and I know they're trying to be like, oh shit, this fucking Gills moment where it's like all dramatic and shit.
Yeah, it was 100% trying to set up the whole rain moment, except nobody died.
Well, it's not even the dying thing. It's like the way they shot it. It's like that's not how you shoot that scene. Right? Like you're supposed to make it a lot more dramatic and like in the moment where it's like it's shot really well. Okay, so this is the problem. I feel like what happened is this director kind of didn't shoot this as well as he should have. Like he did some of the other stuff pretty well. Like he can do okay, the one thing he does do okay is like the group shots. Right? Where it's like, oh, everybody feels like they're on a team. Right, and Sabella's fights are fucking great. But like the Savage Dragon shit, like honestly it's not even his fault. It's like all the directors who've worked with Savage Dragon just don't know how to shoot that thing. For the menace.
Sometimes it's dangerous zombie.
Sometimes.
God,
yeah, but even like the suit acting's not even like
that honestly I missed the start of that. I missed the start of it. Because I missed that suit acting.
Yeah, dude, it's dangerous.
Like that suit acting in the first, well, just the suit acting in the first episode with Primitive Dragon was 100% just we're gonna channel
Danger Zombie, but not as well. Yeah, I know, right?
But it still came across as fantastic, out of control, wild. And now it just feels like I'm a dick. Like yeah, it doesn't feel out of control. It just feels like he's an asshole.
See, I never felt like he's out of control. I always feel like they're trying to play him like he's out of control, but like the way they shoot him, it makes it so like the way they shoot him like freaking out is not how you shoot a rider suit that's freaking out. And so it takes the energy and the menace away from that thing. Whereas like, yeah, this is exactly how they would act on set in all those other previous older rider shows. But like the way you would shoot it is a lot closer and a lot more menacing, which they don't do. They shoot the damn suit so wide, it just looks like any other suit. So when it's freaking out, it looks kind of hilarious.
I'm with Vashi though. Like in its introduction, it did feel like it was out of control. It was exerting an amount of power that Toma, one, hasn't unlocked, and two, would hold back on to try and not hurt his friends. But since then, it's turned into just a animal that will attack anyone.
Yeah, and I mean, like they could have done something with that, but I feel like it's gonna turn basically good next episode. So
yeah, because
like these three episodes are not even worth it. Like nobody put enough effort into showing the real menace of this thing because like it's gonna just turn into a good guy.
Still better than Metal Cluster Hopper.
I have a question for you.
Well, Metal Cluster Hopper had an explanation why it turned good.
So I have a question for you both.
Dude, Metal Cluster Hopper was fucking terrifying when it showed up. Right? Like it wrecked everyone. Okay, go Vash.
Oh, I have a question, and this is more of let's take bets for next week.
Okay.
How does he tame it?
Well, we saw the friendship, yeah.
Yeah, 100. Like I was more meaning like specifically, like it 100%. It's gonna be. I took the kid's hand.
I mean, yeah, I can see it. I can see it. Man,
because I
what's this necessary show? See, at first I'm like, oh, maybe he's like somehow connecting with like the current sword master logos or whatever, but I'm like, I don't think so. Then I'm like, who the fuck is this kid then? Right? Like, is this just another
Zanpakuto? Sadness.
Yeah, I'm like, is this just another Zanpakuto thing where it's like, oh, you just
It's
gotta.
the spirit.
Yeah, I know. It's whatever. I.
He has to learn its true name to be able to use its power.
Oh man, oh man. No, I just keep hitting it, using it to hit harder and harder. Oh man, fucking Kenpachi. This. Oh, fuck. So good, so good. Dude, I would be so down if the show was that stupid, but it's not.
Oh.
See, like Bleach at
That's
least
where we
has
stand.
right,
That
right.
is where we stand. The show isn't good enough to be good, but it's not stupid enough to be fun.
It's true. Like, okay,
Yeah.
compare this to what the hell, Roundtable we just did, like that Zeo crossover, right?
That
It's
was stupid fun.
exactly. It's fucking nonsense.
Like, yeah, that was, to be fair, a lot of Zeo was just stupid fun.
Kind of.
A good portion of it was stupid, but a good portion of it also had that stupid fun. Same thing with a lot of their little extra stuff that they've put out for Zeo. This just feels stupid.
Yeah, honestly, it's because it's like, it's who needs this? One, like, why did we need this damn power up form? It does nothing, right?
I don't know why we needed half of what we've gotten.
Yeah, that's true. And then like, why did the power up have to have like this kid you have to befriend to become good? It's like, okay, is that gonna lead to something? Because if it's just like, oh, now I can use the power up better, I'm like, what the fuck was the point of this?
It's just gonna be the mid-season power-up, and he's gonna use it for 10 episodes, and then get his final power-up.
You know what the worst part is? This is like the third form I thought he was gonna have his mid-season power-up with. One, he had like the all-dragon red form. I'm like, oh, I guess that's the mid-season. No, and then he gets the fucking like silver and red one. I'm like, oh, at least that's nice. And then he gets this, and it's like, oh no, this is the real mid-season one? It's like, what the fuck? Okay, this also explains why it's written by the people who did Ghost. Because Ghost has this exact same fucking problem. Where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I get this really nice ass form. It's like, is that the mid-season one? No, I'm gonna get another nicer one. It's like, is that? No, I'm gonna get another one which should have been the final form, but it wasn't.
It showed through power levels out faster than X-Aid.
Dude, this is throwing power levels out faster than Dragon Ball Z did.
That's not the joke I was gonna go for. Oh man, oh man, fuck. It's worse than a tournament of power at this point. But
At least a good portion of the Tournament of Power made sense.
also, it was
Well,
dumb
that
and
joke-
it was great.
Yeah, the biggest issue I had with the Tournament of Power is the same issue I had with the Frieza Saga. Nobody knows how long a minute is.
Exactly. What's the timeline? Okay, to be fair, I'm like, all right, it's a galactic minute. It doesn't count, right? They don't say it's an Earth minute. Yeah, I know the narrator says it, but I'm like, fuck that. I'm not counting it.
I accept it in the aspect of that was a bunch of different people fighting at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
So it kept bouncing from fight to fight to fight to fight to fight to fight.
Frieza was
Until
just
it-
trying to psych Goku out with the full 5 minutes shit.
That
That, or he severely overestimated himself.
It's true. Oh, that's so good. Oh, you know what the funniest part about the 5 minute shit in the Tournament of Power, right? Like, that took so many episodes, right? Right. Dragon Ball's Super Broly, right? They cut away and they learn fusion, they come back, and Frieza's still fighting. It's been like an hour.
Oh yeah, Frieza getting bitch shot for an hour by Broly.
By Broly, right? It's like, oh my god, we had a Dragon Ball thing where time passed and we didn't fucking see it. Like, oh fucking hell.
I'm sorry, I would have enjoyed an hour of that movie literally just being Broly bitch slapping Frieza.
Dude,
I
that
would
would
have been okay
fun.
with it.
That would have been fun.
Just an hour of it, I would have been okay with.
I know, but like too much animation. But should we actually get to this episode? Because again, it was
Yes.
decent. We learned some stuff.
We've covered almost half the episode.
Yes.
So, we've covered part of the plot dump. Some more plot dump. The Sword of Darkness has the power to seal any other sword. This is Kento's plan because the swords are what's causing the end of the world. Uh, the Sword of Darkness was the first sword to exist. When the Sword of Light was created, it was made sure that the Sword of Darkness had the power to seal it away should its power be abused for evil. Since all subsequent swords are copies, the Sword of Darkness has the power to seal any of them.
That's actually a fucking genius way of allowing like the Sword of Darkness to seal stuff. Like honestly, that's one of the best like lore dumps where it's like, okay, yeah, it has this power because of this. That's fucking genius.
Like, and the fact that it ties into shit that they've already told us. Like, it is pretty much the only reason why I'll accept that. I hate I'm still irritated at the fact that the Sword of Darkness is the one that can do it.
I mean,
that seems more like a Sword of Light ability, but whatever.
I like the play on it, like the darkness seals away the light instead.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, because to be fair, because usually it is the other way around, and if anybody questions that, go play the clusterfuck that is Kingdom Hearts.
I did. I beat all of them.
Oh, you.
Why did I do that?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, well, we're at Saber, and I don't know which has worse plot at this point.
I've beaten the main three, so I've missed a good portion of them.
Oh, you missed some shit.
And I feel I have a better grasp than the people who've played all of it.
Oh, you have no idea.
Oh, I am aware.
Yeah.
Like, I've tried playing some of the other like side games that they did because I have the complete collection.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I'm good.
Dream Drop Distance is the dumbest.
I'm glad that game's not completely included. Just the cutscenes.
No, that one's actually fully included. You're thinking of a different one.
Oh wait, Dream Drop Distance. That's the one with Ven in them, isn't it?
No. That's Birth by Sleep. Dream Drop is Sora and Riku, and you switch control between them.
Oh, yeah. That's the one that crossed over with The World Ends With You, isn't it?
It did.
Yes. That one's stupid. That's dumb as hell.
I mean, I guess that makes... honestly, like, whatever the fuck Square Enix... Yo, okay. We're like, why the fuck off topic, but who cares? But
who cares? It's Saber.
Yeah, well, it's not even that. It's like, what are you gonna talk about? It's like shit happened. It's actually a decently paced episode. The fights were good. Dump. Can't really say much because again, like, there's no attachment because stuff is just happening. Right? You can be like, oh, what's gonna like? It's so obvious what's gonna happen, right? It's like, oh no, who's doing what? It's like this episode literally spells out every single thing.
As soon as Caliber showed back up, I'm like, yeah, that's Kento.
Oh, everybody knew that.
Who the fuck else would it be? Like, yeah. The only way that would have been surprising is if it turned out to be Master Logos.
Oh, that would have been interesting.
That'd have been that to me. That would have made it more interesting.
Yeah.
This just seems dumb and forced.
I mean, like, if Kento's dad showed up, I'm like, well, at least nobody expected that shit. But, that's so unlikely. Also, so, like, we have Master Logos, but there was also that guy who basically...
Was that not the same guy?
Yeah, I don't think it is. Because, like, Master Logos seems older.
I know in the
I felt like it was the same dude, but he's not.
Right. To me, it was the same. To me, it was the same guy. As like, yes, in the other episode, his hair seemed more like orangish, but I figured that was just more due to the lighting. Because he was still carrying around that book too.
Oh yeah, no. On the staircase, yeah. I'm talking about the person who led them to, like when he leads, what's his name? Storius.
And then him to Storius.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the book then.
Right, but to me, it's the same guy.
Oh, okay. Then it is the same person.
Unless Master Logos is the one who took them, the Megiddo to the book, and then this
Right.
other dude.
This
took-
other
but-
dude did the thing. I'm like, maybe, but I don't know. Let me find out.
maybe he's got a split personality or something. I don't know.
Well, that wouldn't change actors.
Maybe he wanted to see who would get it, to see what would happen. Because
Well,
either
I mean,
way,
that
he
was-
wants the true power unlocked so that he can use it. He doesn't care who accomplishes that.
What episode was that? 2 episodes ago?
I don't know.
Yes. Or yeah, 2 episodes ago. This is the second.
No, I think it's 23. Okay. Let me see. Cast.
Like the show's good.
Ah.
There's heavy quotation marks, I feel, around that. And like for everything in this episode, as good as it is,
It was him. You're right.
it was Master Logos.
It was Master Logos without his red outfit. Yeah, it's him.
Like I said, his hair just seemed a lot brighter in that scene.
Yeah, I think it's because the lighting in that
The lighting.
is so much
Yeah.
better in that like wide open room instead of his like throne room. This looks like fucking trash.
Looks like someone's evil.
yeah.
I mean, he wants to collect all the blades so he can destroy and recreate the world in his image.
Dude, that was like like, you know how, oh, I guess we didn't talk about this, but like Vashi, you posted like, yeah, the show has like no fucking subtlety at all.
No, there's no nuance whatsoever with this show.
And this was like 100% the pinnacle of that.
Oh yeah.
Which I don't mind that. I just hate the execution.
Right. Like I like if you want to do a show with no nuance, don't try to draw things out suspensefully. It makes anything underwhelming. Like there are shows that have done suspense and build up fantastically. Well, Agito, they built up suspense around the Atasuki Go thing for what, 40 some odd episodes?
Too many.
Too many. But yeah, I know what you mean.
But like I said, they built the suspense up properly. The payoff sucked because
Yeah.
okay, that's where he got his powers. God gave.
Like everybody figured that out, but it's like, why was
Right.
this?
But there's ways to build suspense for something that feels like it should be worth a damn. And then there's this show, which is building suspense for the sake of building suspense.
You know what's really funny is like me thinking back about like the villains of Ryuki. It's like,
Yeah.
think about all the villains of Ryuki. There's always suspense because you always suspect like, oh, maybe they're not as evil as they seem or whatever, but they're all fucked up,
Right, like
right?
There was literally one.
You have
I think-
Crab Dude who's like pretending to be a police officer, but he's a murderer, right? You
Like-
have Tiger who's just a fucking psycho. You have
a
Imperial
lawyer
who's
who switches sides based on what's advantageous for him.
You're right, exactly. You have Asakura who's like, well, maybe he's like got one good human side when he wants to find his brother. It's like, fuck no.
Nope, that was a lie.
Right? You have like Imperial who does this because he's fed up with this fucking bullshit life. He wants to go and be rich again. Right? And it's like, oh man. Like, even like alternative where it's like, yeah, they're like fucked up in their own sense because they're like sense
just
of
trying
justice.
to save the world.
Yeah, in like the most dipshit way possible.
Anti-heroes.
Right. Like, and then like Kenzaki Shiro is like, what the fuck is going on with him? And it's like, yeah, it's actually interesting, right?
He's a psychopath.
Yeah, and like even okay, let's go next. Like Vice has some stuff, but it's more like what the fuck happened. It's more like you don't just see the flashback. And again, that's not really how Fize is built. It's not about suspense. It's more like, well, now you know everybody's playing pieces. What's gonna happen? Blade is sort of like that.
Why is Kaiza such a huge asshole? Oh!
Yeah, it's because
Right.
he's fucking Yoshiki Kira pretty much. He's like, fuck off, assholes. I just want to go back to my normal life.
Why doesn't Fies want to be Fies?
Oh,
Oh.
that's why.
Like,
Yeah,
It-
because
it's-
he's scared of being
How did
around
anyone
people.
even get wrapped into all this? What the fuck?
but again, these shows handled that shit so well.
I mean, fuck freaking Kabuto, man. Right? Like the whole like mystery of what the hell is going on with shit, I don't remember Kabuto's sister's name.
But
Not
yeah,
not the
right,
main one, the other
yeah,
one.
that sister we know. But yeah, like that was a good reveal.
Hinomori or whatever her name was.
Yes.
Like that was a great reveal.
Yes.
That got spoiled for me, but what?
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, that
I mean-
got spoiled a long time ago on this podcast.
Okay.
I want to say that got spoiled before X8.
Fair. I was gonna say what's left? Like I mean, I haven't watched Deno, but like maybe there's stuff in Deno. Like Kiva, there's
Yes,
some
Deno
stuff.
has one. Deno has one of the main characters show up out of nowhere unexplained, and then near the end you get the explanation for it, and it's like, oh, that's what was going on with him this whole time.
Ah, nice. I mean, Kiva has a little bit, and then Decade is like the whole show. It's just a mixed box. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Double was a what the hell's going on, but that was literally the design of the show.
Double was literally a noir drama.
Well, I was trying to be, but yeah. And then O's actually surprisingly has a decent amount of this. It doesn't feel like it at the beginning, but it's like there's so much shit going on in O's. Where it's like, oh, what's the deal with the greed? What's the deal with this doctor dude? What's the fucking deal with Edgy's backstory? Why is Date fighting even though he's a doctor? Right? Like literally every single fucking character.
Why did Cake Boss have all this crap? Why is he?
Oh, that's true.
Those? Why does he seem to know what people are gonna do?
Yeah, it's true. Right? And then Forza, I guess, because you have like the principal is doing shit because aliens, I guess.
Yeah, literally, that's it.
Yeah, but it takes a while to figure that out, right? And then
Gaim had a bunch of mystery suspense of like, oh man, what's this organization actually up to? What's going to happen to the world? What's the secret here? What are we not being told?
yeah, I'm like, there's that, and then there's also Wizard came before, and it's like, what's Wizard's whole thing? It's like, what the fuck is going on? Why did this happen? Can this happen again? And who are these assholes doing it? And like, Wizard's whole thing is technically like one giant like mystery story, right? So like, honestly, they do kind of build it up well-ish. It kind of gets dragged out a little bit longer than I would like, but like, they do a decent enough job at it. Right, again, like Gaim is like that, and then you have Drive where it's like, well, it's okay, Drive is not bad, it's just the way they do it is badly done in the beginning, because it takes like, it's like Saber except like at least a little more interesting, because like the Drive villains are a lot more interesting than like a lot of the villains we've gotten in Riders
as Rai has put it in terms of villains for at least he now knows who the villains are.
Yeah, it's true.
26 episodes in.
26 episodes. Now I know who the villains are.
Like we've spent the last 26 episodes basically not caring to learn who the three head Megadeals were.
I still
Because
can't tell them
they-
apart.
They all just feel the same. The only one that feels different is the wolf dude because he just wants to kick the shit out of Blades.
Yeah, and then
That seems to be like his only existence anymore. The other two feel that they're interchangeable to me.
Well, I mean, there's Mr. Oh, I just want to keep fighting Saber, and now he's only personality, even though he's shown up the most, because it's basically the time he's gonna freaking pretty much die, right?
Right. And then you have the one who's I'm just going to create new books.
Well, like Stratius, what the hell is his name?
Sartorius or Storius?
Storius, I think. Storius, yeah. Storius's thing is like, he's clearly like the mastermind. Like he's clearly like, fuck, I can't remember any villain's name. Head time jacker dude, purple.
Oh,
Schwartz.
Schwartz,
Yeah,
yeah, he's
Schwartz
like the
be with
Schwartz of the thing. It's like he's pretty much the real reason like the villains are doing anything.
On a side note, I hate you, Rai.
Why?
Because all I can think of is Dark Helmet.
Oh man. Okay. But again, yeah, like I said, like even though you don't know exactly what the fuck is going on with the villains in Drive, like at least they have a personality, right? So you kind of know, like you can get attached to them because of that. But again, like the show has so many characters, like an entire section of the cast just gets forgotten, right? Like they only get screen time because they need to show up for plot reasons, and that just happens to be the fucking villains.
Like, or you know, Naruto.
What about Naruto?
What?
Ren, whatever the hell the ninja dude is.
Oh, Kenzan.
Like
Yeah.
he literally only exists in this episode to respond to the fact that Kento's alive.
Yeah, like,
And that's it.
I didn't even realize he wasn't at that big fight where all that shit went down.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird that he's just stuck at the base for so long, but I feel like at least he's probably gonna switch sides now, which is weird because like I was not expecting Blades to be the last guy at the southern base, but I guess that's what we're gonna do now.
Right, like I with the way they were planning it, is like I had more expected Ren because he was losing his absolute shit about all this.
Right, but now he doesn't have a reason to do that.
But the closest we get for a true and proper reason for Rentaro being the one, aside from the whole family issue, is the one time Homa tried to explain all this. Shit happened and shit went south in the fight, so it made it look like Toma was lying. That's it. The one time.
Yeah, I guess that is a little bit true. But like honestly at this point I'm so just done with the southern base shit.
It's too by the numbers.
Yeah, that is true.
Again, I'm at least more invested in it than I am in the Megiddo.
Yeah,
I agree. Like honestly, yeah. Like at least they're around, so something happens.
Something is happening with this side of the plot. That side of the plot has been stagnant for like the whole show. Caliber was the only one that got what he wanted.
Right. Like, and that was to me, that was the only point in which they were useful. Also, on a side note, what the fuck has Disaster been doing?
Nothing.
Dude, I forgot he was still alive.
Do you want to, and because this is funny, do you want to know what Toei's been doing?
Oh man, are there like side spin-off things with him? Is he just doing the Imagine thing?
Oh, they've been every week. They've been taking Disaster out and taking pictures.
God damn it!
Of him sitting around doing nothing.
Doing nothing. He's just enjoying life.
Yes,
he's literally doing nothing.
Like there's one where he's sitting on a bench and then he's laying down on a bench.
Oh god damn it!
One he's sitting on the edge of a pool or like a fountain.
All right, so that is kind of funny.
He just looks so bored.
Dude,
where is everybody?
Okay, if that gets called into the show, that's actually gonna be kind of sad. But I'm like, at least I don't know, man. Fuck it, I can't even be bothered to think of something for that shit because it's like, well, I guess that's something, but it's like, what is that, right? Like you're doing the Imagine thing, but it's like he's not a good guy. He's not even an anti-hero. Like, who's like, yeah, disaster, I want to see more of that guy. Right? Like what the hell? He's not even in the show that much. So it's like, it's not even like, oh, well, he's this character who shows up, does a thing, and goes away. It's like, no, he literally just disappeared.
Do you know how long it took me to realize that Disaster wasn't one of the 3 villains?
Let's hear
it. When Drago rewatched the series after the first arc ended and explained it to me.
Yeah, at first I was confused by that too, but I'm like, oh, okay, I guess he exists. But yeah, like,
and I was like, well, no wonder I couldn't figure out which one it was.
Yeah, it's true. Like, I like, the worst thing too is like Storius and Legio. Like, their forms, okay, they're not that hard to tell apart if they're standing side by side. But if you like try to think back to them, like, why are their suits so stupidly similar? Right? Like, what's his name? Zuos, at least like Zuos' suit, you can tell like immediately that it's a different dude. Right? Where it's like, why would you do that? Right? Like, you've been doing Sentai for so long, Toei, like, why the fuck would you make your generals like similar looking?
All the 5 monsters were literally nothing but gray, and I could still tell them apart.
Yeah, that is a good point, man. Anyway,
By the way, I posted the pictures in it.
Yeah, he's literally just sitting around doing nothing.
There's one I can't. It's not letting me save it, but it's him sitting on one of the big construction pipes, just sitting there kicking his feet.
what the fuck is Toei doing? Wait, is that the pool? I mean, the fountain?
Yes, that's the pool fountain thing. Yes.
No, it's that stupid fountain where like a ton of fucking Toei fights happen. Oh man, that's fucking hilarious.
He's just basking in the sun in this one.
I know, right? Like, what the hell is that?
He's channeling his, inner Takemichi. He wants to be painted like a French girl.
Fair enough. I mean, at least he's having fun, but it's like, again, like, why do we have another character in the show who's doing nothing? I mean, at least he's not showing up.
Episode 5. He's been around since like episode 5, and has done
I think he's
since like
before
episode 6.
What is this show? Okay, here's the thing, right? Like, okay, let me just say who the fuck did this. Episode 25 and 26, written by Fukuda Takeru, and oh man, this name, Kamihori Kazuha is the director. And so this is the main writer for Ghost and the main writer for this show, and this director hasn't directed anything except since episode 5 and 6, which is like the first one that Kento shows up, or I mean, Espada and Kenzan. Right? So yeah, it's no wonder it's a little off from like all the other action, because this director hasn't been doing so. But that being said, like, what is her name? Sabella's stuff is great, right? But like, otherwise everything else is kind of a little more lackluster, where it's like, okay, I guess everything went into just the fights, and that's a little sad. But it's like, at least we got lore, which gives us stuff and sets up more stuff. But it's like, everything else is just so like on the nose, where it's like, what the fuck do we talk about? And like, honestly, I'm kind of getting tired of complaining about this, even though this is a good episode. Like, what the fuck do you say to this? I don't know, man. I mean, you guys haven't been here for a while, so like, do you have any thoughts on the characters? Do you want to do that, or
well, so When Slash finally rejoined the show a while back, because they stepped away from those characters for a bit to focus on Toma and
Yuri.
Psycho Yuri.
You're
Uh, Slash comes in and just wrecks the monster, and I realized, like, oh right, he's the best character. I forgot.
right, and then he forgets how to fight after that.
So, this episode, at the end, when Toma has his psychotic breakdown because his childhood friend tells him that no matter what he does, he can't save the world, uh, and rampages, and it's real emotional, and I don't care. Slash gets his sword sealed away, and I felt
Right.
bad for him.
Oh yes, so true, right? I was like, oh no, not Slash. And he does this super interesting yell too. Because it's kind of a mix of his like hyper energy form, but like that's the one that's yelling. So it's kind of this like really interesting yell that like you don't really get.
Toma is being a child, but Slash, this is literally his life.
Yeah.
Like
I-
it I felt like, and just like you, it was like I felt more for Tablet. I literally just forgot his name, and we just said his
Slash.
name.
Slash.
Flash.
So-
Like I felt way much more for Slash getting his sword skilled, given his lack of a better term relationship with his sword. His entire life is revolved around that sword.
And
And to
Yeah.
be fair, he's already lost it once.
Yeah. I mean, especially considering he's from the sword family.
right, I forgot. He finally gets his sword back, and now it's taken from him again. And he left the organization for this.
Right.
Oh, it's true.
Like
he's
he
supposed
got-
to help the chosen one or whatever, right?
right, and he got
And-
royally screwed, and his his chosen one is throwing a temper tantrum because he got told he can't save the world.
I mean, there's something interesting you could do with that where it's like, oh, he really wants to save this kid because like Kento died and like he doesn't know anything how to save Luna, so like this kid could have been a substitute for those two characters, but then like Kento just shows up. Right? And then like Luna is probably the girl who connected the worlds, I guess.
Or descendant of the same
Or
way
yeah,
that,
it's possible that too.
the same way that what's his name, Master Logos is a descendant of the original.
And then
Hmm.
there's Buster, where like it was pretty clear that Buster was going to switch sides. And the build-up about how he's doing all this and fighting for the organization to make the world a safe place for his son, I find it appropriate that the straw that broke his back was Sabella going, "You might have to sacrifice your family for the betterment of the world." It's like, no, he's
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
he's literally doing this to protect his family, and two, any organization that tells you you might have to sacrifice your family is a fucking cult.
100%.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, plus the other thing too is like it also explains why he stuck around so long because he's like, yeah, I know this organization's kind of sketchy as fuck right now, but it's like I'm
But I'm
trying. He's
protecting
basically
the
trying to
world.
protect Blades. Well, no, it's because he's trying to like keep an eye on Blades and Kenzan and trying to make sure the kids stay out of too much trouble. So he's
it was
doing the
that-
dad thing, so it's
It
fine.
was that and
Right.
trying to keep the southern base out of their hair as much as possible.
And like for Slash, Toma finally convinced him to switch sides. But for Buster, Sabella straight up drove him away.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, like, I feel like Buster was never on Sabella's side, but like, you're right. Like, that was
No,
definitely the
like,
final straw.
She said the one wrong thing that made him finally hear Toma out.
And trying to
Why
kick his
we-
ass while he was at it.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna
Or
do that.
he had to know he was making the right choice. The reason Slash left was because Toma had potential. He needed to see it for himself before he committed to it.
Right. And,
Yeah,
and
well-
like and it also plays off that, passing the torch elder thing of yeah, no, you're gonna have to kick my ass to give me a reason to follow you.
Yeah, plus it
Because
ties
otherwise,
into
I could do this myself.
right. That's true. Plus, it kind of ties into the prophecy thing, which is again like the show has this weird thing of like nobody can just do one thing for one reason. It's like everybody needs like 2 or 3 freaking reasons because there's like way more exposition that you have to get for every single fucking thing, and like for like as simple as the execution of these plot lines are, like there's so many unnecessary plot lines, right? Like what the fuck was the reason for like, oh, Toma is the chosen one or whatever? I mean, I guess that explains why he gets that weird power, but I'm like, you could have just been like, oh yeah, the flame sword, that's just its ability. You just are
Here's a
finally
question.
mastering it now. Go ahead.
Who is Toma?
Yeah, I mean it is weird, right? Because he's like this novelist person, but like
He's
is he
a novelist
even
who happens
human?
to be friend. He's a novelist who happens to be friends with somebody who was in the the sort of logos.
Well, I mean to be
related
fair,
to
like
sort of logos.
Like,
Kento's
okay.
dad was already a member, so like
Right. That's what I say. It's like related to friends with somebody who's at least related to somebody who was in the sort of logos.
Like Kento, Luna, and Toma were all childhood friends, and Kento was connected to sort of Logos, and Luna likely was as well because of what happened to her. Where does Toma fit into all that? Why did the previous Saber give him the book? What the fuck?
Because he was there.
yeah, I think
Is
that's
that the only reason?
well. There's that
That's
like
what it
episode
seems
0.
like.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. I feel like they're trying to make him feel like, oh, it's just this like they're trying to do the Shinji thing of like this is a total rando in this weird like death fight thing. And look at how he changes the dynamic. Like he shouldn't be here, but because he's here, the world's gonna be different now.
But Shinji
Well,
felt like an
hold on.
outlier the entire way
Yeah,
through.
that's true.
But
Right.
Toma has
Hold on.
become the center of attention.
Well, like I said, the show is
so-
straight up Bleach. And
So what you're
no,
what you're telling
Bleach
me-
starts off with like, "Hey, I shouldn't be a Soul Reaper. This is all this weird shit. I shouldn't even have this power, but I'm gonna try to protect my friends. It's gonna be jank as fuck, but I'll figure it out." To, "I'm the greatest thing ever. I'm the ultimate savior. Everything in this world is connected to me. I'm this like 1,000,000% chance thing that has like all 4 weird corners of this world's powers," which is what the fuck Bleach turns into by the end.
So what you're telling me is that Saber is an isekai anime that doesn't have a
Isekai.
truck.
Isekai.
Isekai that doesn't have a truck.
Truck Tama was that first book.
Well, no. The first thing was fucking no. Luna got isekai, I guess.
Like no. I'm talking episode 1. They get the Wonderworld book opens up and the building crumble falls onto Saber Toma, and that's when his powers awaken. That was his truck.
Fair. I guess that's fair.
I hate the fact that it was so easy to make that jump.
Well, like I said, like we keep saying, the show's already Bleach. Like it's already half anime. And I mean, to be fair, it's Kamen Rider, so it's already live action anime. Now it's even
So-
more live action anime, and now we got like, oh great, now it's like modern live action anime.
So now we need 3 flashbacks per episode.
I don't know, we're kind of getting there at this point.
I know. Because I'm counting numbnuts in the book being, every time Toma ends up in the book as a flashback.
Yeah, that's what it feels like, right? Because it can't be happening now. Feels like he's going to some weird past thing.
Also,
Right.
on a side note, we literally watched this in O's, essentially.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like O's does this so much better.
This is basically the Patora, the dinosaur combo.
I know, but that's so much better done in O's.
Oh, well, yeah.
Most things
Because
are.
it was O's. Most things are better in O's.
Oh god. Oh man, don't even.
Sad thing is, we could literally name off any other writer show, and that phrase would
Yeah,
still
this-
work.
I mean, they fucking tried to do the guild shot and they fucked it up.
Like I said, this entire show feels like an amalgamation of every good decision that each specific series has done.
Right. This is a good show on paper.
It's a great show on paper. It's just executed horribly, which makes it a very meh series where I don't give two shits about any character in it. I care more about May than I do any other character in the show.
Oh, dude, I so fucking agree, right? Like, May is... Like, at least the writers from Ghost learned, where it's like, hey, guess what? Female characters can be useful. Akari, great. And now, so, therefore, like, since the first episode, May has been consistently useful and a good character. So we're like, yeah, okay, great, May's here. Right? Like, I love, like, May and Yuri's dynamic. They're fucking great. Honestly, like, May, Yuri, and Saber are great, just those three.
Last week, May changed her hair, and I went, hey, something different.
Right, I noticed that too. I was like, what the hell is this?
Here's where I feel that they truly aced May, is they found that point of she doesn't have to be useless all the time, the way most female characters are, but at the same time, she doesn't always have to be useful.
Right, agreed. Like, it's the counter of like, oh, Akari, where it's like, okay, literally by like 2/3 away into Ghost, is like, okay, the writers are just stopping the monsters. They're not fixing anything. Like, Akari is fixing it, which is not bad, but it's different. Whereas like Drive, where it's like Kiriko's great, and then like Kiriko's not great after that because she just becomes a damsel in distress, which is so annoying.
This episode, when Kento attacks them, one of the other writers has to step in to protect shield May, and she actually apologizes, like, sorry, I know I shouldn't be here.
Like, even the points where, like, because like I said, it's like she's not entirely useless, but she's not always useful. But she's always very much entertaining. Like, she is an absolute character.
She's a good supporting character.
If she's on the screen, that's 9 times out of 10. That's where your eye's going, unless they're doing the fancy graphic shit.
Yeah, kind of. Like, that's what I'm saying. Is like, honestly, she is pretty much how you should write. Like, here's the most interesting part. Like, she's a really good supporting character, but like, she has no plot, right? Like, you could have given her plot with like the the news agency. No, she's not a news. Like the editor. Publication. Yeah, like she's like an editor, right?
Yeah, she's an editor.
It's like, so she had a plot line if they wanted to give it to her, but they don't need it because she still has like enough stuff going on, which is kind of amazing. It's like, normally when you don't have anything going on and you have a character, it's so annoying. Certain person from Build. Yes, Secret Agent Sawa. But I mean, we all know why she stuck around. She just lives in Toei's parking lot.
Every time, like, at the start, she literally goes to write herself off, and Sento's like, no, you can stay, you can be helpful to us, and then she betrays him, and then she apologizes, he goes, oh, I forgive you, and then she does it again.
Right, and like,
and then she tries to do it a third time.
Well, that's not true. I mean, like, she had a good plot line with Cyborg, but then they both didn't get their plot line, which was the saddest shit. It's like, what the hell, right? So, whereas like this show, I think the other thing with this is there's so many characters, you don't have to do that. Where it's like, oh, like shit, man, we don't have time to give the villains plot. Like, Mai doesn't need her side thing, but she's useful enough. Like, she's kind of like a really good side character, like Kotaro from Blade, right? Whereas he's not super useful, but he's always there lending a hand if you guys need it, right? And that's what you need.
His presence was useful because he gave them a base of operations.
Right, exactly.
And a lot of milk.
Yeah, I don't know what the milk thing was, but that's fair.
It was a much better prop than mayonnaise.
Whatever. okay, I'm like, I was gonna say like Japanese mayonnaise is like a different thing, but I'm like, I guess the milk thing is a lot more
I
usable.
just find it hilarious that your initial reaction was to defend mayonnaise over
Well, I
milk.
like Build. I mean, not Build. Beast is like great. I fucking love that character. But like, I'm like, is this gimmick really worth defending? I'm like, not really. I just like this character. But I'm like, it's not as bad as most people make it out to be. But you're right. Like, the humor with that went like a little too far.
Yeah, it was just a little bit much. Like if they would have toned it back a little bit, like if they would have stopped had him stop putting him on
that motherfucker put it on his ramen.
Well, you can have okay, whatever. There's like different style of ramen, but anyway, I love how like none of us fucking give a shit about this episode, even though it's decent. But like I keep having to say it's decent, but I'm like, yeah, it's decent to watch. Nothing much to talk about. Like I'm like, we can talk about the lore, but I'm like, what's there to talk about? It's so on the nose.
We've already hit all the plot points, like, and we're hitting an hour and a half, so we can just end this at any time now.
Like, yeah, I was gonna say, like, so, do you guys want to just do this like once a month at this point? Because this show is going fucking nowhere.
I'm kind of okay with that.
Honestly, I could probably manage that.
Yeah, because I don't want to show up and like yell at the show every hour,
every week,
because I'm like, it's not bad, but I'm like, it's not good. You know, it's like it's so hard to talk about.
All right, if we're gonna do this, do we want to do it the first Wednesday of each month or the final Wednesday of each month?
I'd say the final.
Well, I mean,
well, only because that kind of usually lines up with the arcs and stuff like that, with at least enough padding.
Okay, I mean, well, what happens then at the end of this month?
That's what we need to figure out afterwards.
Yeah, afterwards yeah, I feel we should.
We should probably do. I agree. Like, I guess the final makes more sense because it's like Vashi said, it would be the end of the arcs and stuff. Or maybe we could do it every 2 weeks, but I'm like, because they're two-parters. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah. My brain still says the last.
Yeah, I think that's better. I mean, like, unless there's like a really good, like, holy shit, we got to talk about this because everything in the show's changed.
Right. So yeah. So all right.
So we'll do this to episode 40, and then episode 41 we're gonna have a podcast because that last arc's gonna start.
So, well, maybe in the final arc we will like go back to a weekly thing.
Yeah, maybe.
But for now, like, we'll do it at the end of each month, and since that's what we're doing, we'll also meet at the end of this month. So 2 weeks, we'll do another podcast, and then every 4 weeks from there.
Okay, well, the other problem, the problem is like what's gonna happen right now is, so we just had next episode is the first part of a two-parter, right? Oh no, it's fine. No, my bad. It'll actually line up perfectly.
Yep. So we'll meet again in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. All right, people, you heard it. At least Sentai is good, so you guys can do that.
2 episodes in, I'm far more invested in that than anything going on in Saber.
Yeah, like normally I would not stop a writer thing, but I'm like, fucking nothing is happening in this show. I mean, stuff is happening, but there's nothing to talk about.
It's bad when the podcast, or for the series that we started this damn podcast with, is the reason why we don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't even
to the extent that we've been doing it.
Oh, that's true. Well, my thing is, like, I would rather do, like, oh, that's an interesting single episode of a different writer show. But again, that could be just like single videos or whatever. We could do weekly, or I could do weekly, or whatever. But like, again, we don't have to fucking do Saber because like nobody's fucking watching this show, and like even if you are, you can watch
Why?
It's no, it's not bad. Like again, like I said, season 2 is not bad, but it's like it's so on the nose. There's like nothing to discuss, right? But anyway, thanks
Not
again
letting
for
go of
joining
the
us,
joke.
everyone. We will catch you, I guess, in 2 weeks, and then we'll see how, and then maybe a month after that, and we'll see how this new format goes. If we think it's not working, or if you guys think it's not working, drop us a line in the comments and we will change it. But as for now, Sentai seems to be on a weekly schedule still. Maybe I'll do something for Rider Weekly. I'll figure that out later. But that's all I got for this episode. It was decent. We complained way too much in this, but what are you gonna do? Zero signing off.
We'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time, and I'm gonna use these 2 weeks to go watch Die Ranger instead.
Oh, nice.
Oh no! Now I don't have an excuse.
No, you don't. No, you don't, Rye.
All right.